Hi, everyone. I'm Larry Buckland, pastor at Suncrest United Methodist Church. Welcome to another episode of the Rev Rambles On. Got along with me today, Mark Markle. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to this.
Ready for winter?
No.
No?
No.
I think it's not technically winter on the calendar, but it feels like it outside.
Darn cold.
It is cold, and that means it's December and it's Advent and all kinds of things coming up in the life of the church, so I'm excited about that. But we're going to talk about something a little different today.
Yes, we are taking a step away in many dimensions. You were on the mission trip to the Dominican Republic this past week, and I want to talk to you a little bit about that.
I'm excited to do it.
Can you give a brief summary of where the team went?
Sure. We went to Barona in the Dominican Republic was our destination. But I want to tell you, Mark, it took a little while to get there. I wouldn't have changed my plans, but I would have been a little bit more prepared to find out that once we finally got into Santo Domingo, the capital, that we had a 4-hour bus ride to Barona. And I think that 4-hour bus ride, along with we left the church parking lot at 2 a.m. to go to the airport to Pittsburgh. And so by the time we got to Barona, and also we advanced an hour in the Dominican. So
right.
My first time in Atlantic time. So we were an hour ahead.
Is that right?
My first time.
My goodness.
Yeah, my first time.
We got to get you out more often.
I agree. After this, I'm ready to go more. Yeah, it was a great experience. But yeah, Atlantic time, so we were an hour ahead. So I think we finally had dinner, I don't know, around 8 p.m. Atlantic time, and I was ready to eat, and it was good. So as we got there, the 4-hour bus ride, and we were all ready to go, we got to see parts of the community there where we were staying, the mission house, and I think it was the first time the team had stayed in this mission house, and we had, I think, 12 total on the team that were there, and 6 of them were college students and a couple other younger people as well. I think 1 in high school, and then some adults. So we had a great time.
We call it the Batey.
Yes.
What is a Batey, and who lives there, and why?
Sure. Well, where we were staying was not in the Batey.
Okay.
The Bateys were still another probably 20 to 30 minute drive, depending on which one you went to. And some may have been a little bit farther than that. But the Bateys are communities that you would try to describe as probably your poorest communities that you can imagine. And the homes are not very large. They're very small, not exactly built like homes you would see in Morgantown. And some are interestingly built and not held up strongly. You know, if you had a really bad storm, I would be nervous about some of the homes in the Bateys. But one thing that I can tell you about the Bateys is that the people were so welcoming and so happy to see us, the kids especially. So there is a strong Haitian community in the Bateys. And one of the things that I definitely learned on this trip, had heard, but definitely got to experience, is that the Haitian community has been treated oftentimes, not by all, of course, but lesser than even the Dominican population.
How many people are in a Batey? Ballpark number.
Probably 1,000 or so.
And what do they do for a living? How do they make their get money for food?
I think it's a major challenge. I don't think there is a lot of work, public work. A lot of times they're their own ways of entrepreneurial work. They cook, sell food. They go and try to do work for others. So most of their jobs are privately, self-employed type jobs. And it is a challenge for them to make an income. Part of that is that there's not a lot of opportunity for transportation and different things. Most of the transportation that you do find of people in the Bateys and things, and throughout the Dominican, a lot of motorcycles.
Oh, really?
A lot of motorcycles.
And scooters, I guess, too.
Yeah. It's make sure you ask me about the drive around the Dominican.
Well, let's get into it.
Okay.
What's the drive? Tell me about your drive around the Dominican.
If people want to pray for us, don't worry about praying for the flights. And I'm teasing. You can pray for the flights, but please pray for the transportation from the airport to the mission house and all in between, because I have never seen traffic like it. There are cars coming at you. Motorcycles coming at you. There are motorcycles going between. Sometimes cars are driving three wide on the roads, and the roads aren't fantastic, especially where we stayed. They had done some work to work on the roads, and then they were going to do piping in the roads, and now they've never been fixed since.
Oh, and so they got dug up and never put back.
Yeah, they're a mess, and so very slow getting around where our mission house was. On the good roads, people are going really fast, and it doesn't seem like there's a rhyme or reason or rules of a speed limit or whose turn it is to go, and everybody has like a friendly honk to let you know they're there. Motorcycles and big buses and all in between. It is a wild ride, and you never know what you're going to see someone carrying on a motorcycle. I saw someone on a motorcycle carrying a 10-foot long pipe on their shoulder.
Oh my goodness.
And one of the bâtés, we did not get in time to get a picture of it, but one of our colleagues on the trip with us said, "Larry, did you see that?" And I didn't. And they were a guy was carrying 2 pigs on a motorcycle.
One under each arm?
One under each arm.
Oh my.
And so but the transportation was wild, and I have a bad feeling, even though I only saw one accident, that there are a lot of accidents in the Dominican Republic the way they drive.
So offer our prayers up to the people driving on the roads in the Dominican.
Yes.
What were some of the activities that the team did?
What the ultimate goal was to do ministry in these bâtés, and the first thing was to a lot of the homes have still dirt floors. And so to mix concrete, which I'd never done by hand, and it was an experience, and to be a part of that. And it was a great way I had never really watched it happen like that. So digging and taking the sand and mixing it with concrete, and then pouring water, and then trying to get all the dirt put back in the water to mix and make the concrete, and then it would be wheelbarrowed into the homes, and then the team that would be making the floor would fix the floor ready for them to go. The family ahead of time would have everything out of their home.
Okay.
So that you could go right in and begin the work. It became like a community effort too. You would see people that it was their home. They would oftentimes be helping. Also others in the community, and then also people that work for the least of these ministries that are there to help. And the team was excited to be a part of it. It was hard work. One day we were very fortunate to have, I wouldn't say it was going to pass any great test, but we did have a cement maker, mixer for one of the days. And so that took away some of the labor of doing it.
Back up a bit. Why is it important to put cement floors in these places? I mean, a lot of communities and a lot of traditions use a dirt floor, and it's not an issue.
I think for the families, it's a lot easier to clean, to be able to sweep out the water out of their homes.
So the water does get in. So it would be muddy.
And a lot of the road in some of these bâtés are dirt roads as well. And so it's just anytime it rains, it makes for a pretty muddy mess. And so it gives the family something that we've heard stories, and I got to hear families that have been praying all their life to have a concrete floor. And they tell the story of one man that got one of the concrete floors a few years back. He was 81 years old, had never had a concrete floor, and so was very excited for the answered prayer. So that was the hard work there of that. But another opportunity that we had was to go to the local churches and be a part of food distribution. And the food distribution is controlled by the churches, and the level of how much food you get was probably depending on how many are in your family unit and different things. So we would be there, and they would tell us how many bags of rice, and they would come with big bowls or containers, and we would put that many bags of rice in it. How many ever bags of rice, you scooped out a cup, half that amount of rice in beans. And they were beans, they were loose. You scooped them up and you put them in, whether they had a different container or you just mixed it in the container where they had their bags of rice. And I felt really good about being a part of this, because when I came here to Suncrest United Methodist, I learned about the Red Wagon offering, which is always the fourth Sunday of the month. And I had heard, that 12 cents helps feed a family.
The Red Wagon is for the bate.
Bates, for the bates. And so we have an offering, and so they would encourage people a couple dollars, how far a couple dollars goes, and found out that 12 cents would basically, feed a family. And so being able to think about that opportunity and be able to see where our money from the Red Wagon is going and being a part of distributing was very powerful, and to experience that with the families that were coming. So they do that every day. So different people from the team got to go each day. There was a couple of days because of rain that we were not able to go to the sites because of, again, a lot of rain makes it challenging to do concrete floors for them. And so there were a couple of days that the whole team got to go to the distribution sites. And I think that was really good. So the third opportunity for service was where definitely our college students really shined. And that was playing with the kids, because the kids are all around the community while we're doing that. And they are excited to show up where you are and follow you around. And then two of the nights we also did like a very not Americanized, like huge stations vacation Bible school.
Oh, okay.
But a couple of nights where we did a vacation Bible school. And the first night we showed up, they knew we were coming that evening at 5:00, and you would have thought that celebrities were pulling in. The kids were jumping up and down and screaming and running after the bus as we were getting there. And as soon as people got off the bus, basically a friendly mauling was happening of hugs and jumping up on you and all of that. And so the kids just loved seeing everybody. And our college students, I can't say enough about, number one, their work, their ability to play with the kids and welcome them. And also a lot of the college students knew enough Spanish to be able to communicate a little.
Oh.
And so they had taken Spanish in high school and potentially even in their college classes as well, and did a great job communicating.
You mentioned a permanent aid agency that's in the area. Did I hear that correctly?
The churches are the host places, so I don't know exactly how it all works out, but I know the monies that we send for the bates goes to that group to be able to get the rice and the beans, and then we helped unload the trucks that came with the rice and beans, and then the leaders there of the community and the churches would tell you how many go to each family.
So they know the families and they know what they need.
They do.
Or what they can give, I guess.
Exactly.
Is it primarily rice and beans?
Well, that's what we handed out every day.
Okay.
Part of that, what I heard, was rice and beans are a staple, and that also saying giving those staples also encouraged others to be able to work and to be able to buy their own other things. Okay. So there was a rhyme and reason for the rice and beans being those staples.
Well,
to be able
they
to
are
out.
Staples in many parts of the country and many parts of the world.
Sure.
It allows them to use their resources to do the vegetables or other things that they need.
I want to just add one thing about the team as well. Is one of the things everybody was given the opportunity for every day was someone would lead a devotion in the morning before or after breakfast, and also after the day was over. And we also went around the group and asked, where did we see God today?
Did you see God someplace every day?
Every day, multiple times a day. And I'm so proud of the way everyone participated. The students, every time we would leave, they would in the bus, they would ask who's going to pray for us, our next venture. And more often than not, one of the college students would offer to pray.
This may be a tough question to answer, but for your week there, what do you see the 3 greatest needs of that community?
Wow.
Or are there just too many to pick out?
There are a lot of need. However, some of the system that I know that a mission team by itself is not going to be able to go in and correct. We have our own, we know systems sometimes in our own country that do not seem to be just. And so some of the justice issues for the Haitian community and the Dominican community, and not even in those areas. Right now, the Barona has an airport, but it's shut down.
Why?
I think they're trying to keep all the economics in Santo Domingo and in those surrounding areas.
Okay.
It's not. They're making it challenging.
Okay.
For people to get to Barona and those outskirts, those marginalized areas, and then it also makes it challenging for them to work. Yeah. So there's a lot of justice issues there that I would say are huge. And then, but as far as our trip, I think the most important thing for when people go are the relationships to continue to build. I can say that Ron Lytle, who definitely has been there many times from our church, has developed relationships because of not just going once.
Well, that leads to another question. How did Suncrest United Methodist Church end up sending a mission team to the Dominican Republic, Batays?
The first time, I'm not sure. That's a great question that I should have the answer for, and I don't know it right now. But
it's a long time relationship.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why I was excited to be a part of the food distribution, to come in and say, oh, we do this Red Wagon offering every month. But now I will, when I share that opportunity for us, it will have a lot more meaning for me to describe rather than just saying. And I'll be honest, sometimes I forget about it. And I think now I probably won't forget about it for some time. So the meaningful relationships and hearing is, even as I got before I went, about people that have gone before, and even after I returned, I had people coming up to me this past weekend saying, I've gone before, and telling me their experiences. So it definitely has a lasting impact on the people here. And the least of these ministries does a great job of the opportunities for us to go, and not only go and just do the work, but to build relationships.
I think my experience says that's true about every mission trip I've been on. You go with a lot of trepidation and uncertainty. Can I do this? Is something going to happen? And you come back by saying, wow, I really learned a lot. I had a terrific experience. Which leads me to the next question. What do you find most challenging physically about the trip?
Physically, probably it's going to sound like a very privileged answer here, but I can tell you the cold showers.
I have to share that experience with you, at least on 2 mission trips. One of them was in Minnesota, and the water was really cold.
I like a hot shower.
Yeah.
So that was more than my bed getting back home. I was very grateful for the warm shower.
How about emotionally? What was the emotional challenge for you?
The emotional challenge wasn't necessarily anyone's fault, and it may have still been even if we had gotten the opportunity to go back, but because of the weather, we did not get to go back to the Batey where we spent the most time, and it was planned to go back again. If I would have had the opportunity to make that decision, or our team would have had the opportunity to make that decision, I believe we may have made an appearance, even if there wasn't going to be work to be done, to go back and have a little closure. Mm-hmm. To say goodbye. The college students really wrestled with that because of the connection they had made with those children and kids. So the most emotional part, I think, was leaving without closure. And then even saying goodbye to the Dominican population that we worked with closely, that worked for the least of these ministries. We began to have a great time with them and experience that. Even when we spent Thanksgiving evening dinner at the orphanage in Barona, and a lot of the kids were asking when we were leaving if we were coming back there. and we weren't going to be. So the emotional pull was the challenge of that. The good news on some of the things, because of the weather, that we didn't get the work done, it was made to us the promise that the folks that are there were going to finish the floors that we didn't get finished. So that was good. But the emotional challenge was leaving there. And I never thought when I was planning to go that I would feel challenged about leaving.
I think that's my experience as well. In a very quick period of time, working together with both the team and the people in the community, you establish a bond that is surprising in the sense that you want to give closure, you want to have a continued connection. And I think with our church and the Bate, that will continue.
It definitely will.
What was the most surprising thing about the trip?
Other than the trivial one would be the 4-hour bus ride. That was surprising when we got off and we were hearing it's 4-hour bus ride, but that's okay. The next most surprising thing probably would be that the way the community did not allow language to be a barrier. They were very patient with mostly English-speaking people there to help, and they would find creative ways to communicate with us. One of the things that is not surprising from kids, they're just like kids here. They love selfies.
Do they have cell phones?
There are some that do, but not all. But what they would want is us to take pictures with them.
Oh, okay.
And they would then want to see the picture, of course. And so they got really great enjoyment out of, and they knew how to use cell phones. And so, but they would describe basically oftentimes with their hands, they would hold them up and or they'd say photo,
wow.
and things. And so they love doing that. So the surprising thing to me was probably the way that they did not get upset when we did not understand.
If somebody was thinking about going to the Dominican Republic with the next trip that goes, what would you tell them? What about things to bring, things to leave home, what to be prepared for?
Number one to bring is an open mind to allow not to have your own ideas of what is going to be or what's not going to be. Realize that it's going to be very hot, so you don't need a lot of warm clothing there. The only thing that you might want to be ready for is if you are a bug magnet, you may want sleeves or long pants if you're that way. I wore shorts and t-shirts, but did have bug spray, and I don't usually get bit up, but there were times that the bugs were getting to me a little bit. Some with us definitely got eaten up a little bit. So realize, be careful as you're eating, well, of course, don't drink the water, drink only bottled water, and bring a water bottle that you can fill your own cup with there for that, but from bottled water. We got to go to the beach part. Bring water shoes, because I could not believe there was no sand. They were all rocks.
Okay.
And it was this kid that grew up on a gravel road in McDowell County. I've softened.
Well, at least the soles of your feet.
The soles of my feet have softened. So I would encourage you to bring some type of water shoes, because not only on the beach, in the water, there are major rocks, big rocks in the ocean. Make sure we go back to the ocean before I finish here. I got to tell you about this experience that only I think Ron Lytle and I saw, but it was really cool. Bring some snacks and some your drinks. We brought tennis balls for the kids. They love that. We played baseball with tennis balls. We brought soccer ball. A lot of them love soccer. They love basketball. And then do some learning up on some hand clapping, different style of games.
Like what?
I don't know, but they would, I don't know the language well enough, but we would be doing these singing games with hand claps.
Oh, so you're doing with partners?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Doing partners.
Yeah, my grandkids do that.
Yeah. So those were a lot of fun. There was one kid named Pedro. He would get frustrated with me if I didn't finish it completely right. But yeah, just think about those little things that you might want to have. And then when you get back, you might want to have something in your carry-on that you, when you walk outside in the Pittsburgh airport and it's 30 degrees and you just got a short sleeve shirt on, So you don't need much warm clothing, but you might want something when you get back.
Okay. The ocean.
All right. As we're in the ocean, Ron Lytle and I are there, and it's getting near the end of our time to be there, as a lot of the other team has already gotten out. The next thing we know, Ron's packed me on the shoulder. Look, and I'm not kidding you. If there were 500, there were 3,000 fish just jumping out of the ocean in like synchronized.
Oh, something was chasing them.
Yes. Yes. They're just jumping out of the water, coming right at us. And first we're just in complete awe. And then Ron will tell you, then he says, then leave it to Pastor Larry. Say, you think something's chasing those fish? Yeah. And I said, I think it's time to get out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You didn't see what was chasing them.
We never saw what was chasing these fish.
That old fin at the top of the water.
Yeah. But it was just a sight I have never seen in my life. And I said, Ron, what did you do? Say, cast the net on the other side or what? Something happened here.
Interesting. So, would you go again?
Most definitely. If I go again, some of the things that I said that I will make sure that I have, and to be able to have some things for the kids there to be able to share. But I'm also, between now and then, going to work on my Spanish, because I want to be able to communicate more with the families that were out, because most everyone seems to be outside. Okay. People are out washing their clothes in big bowls, outside. People are just outside hanging out, talking. A lot of card playing and dominoes playing are happening. So there's a lot of activity and beautiful place. And I feel like with my skill set as well, because one of the things that kept me from doing a trip like this was feeling like I wasn't equipped to be on a work team mission trip, because I was told a long time ago I better talk for a living.
Oh. So if you can't speak the language, your skill set's limited. Is that what you're saying? I don't think that's true,
I did
Larry.
get to help mix concrete.
I don't think that's true.
I get to go do the food distribution. I got to play with the kids, but I would love to be able to communicate more with the people. And so that's my goal before going next time, is to work on my Spanish. And I do have some Spanish teachers in my life that I know. And so I'm going to be reaching out to them. And one of them is a high school Spanish teacher in Fairmont. Her name's Cassie Jo. And she was one of the ones that also had always encouraged me to do a global mission trip. And so I'm real excited to tell her about my experience. Yes. Yes. And she can help me learn some Spanish.
Finally, if a listener wanted to find out more about the Batey and what's going on there and our involvement in it, where could they go?
They can definitely contact us, and we will give them information about it. And the least of these ministries is a place to look. You can find them online or on Facebook. They have a lot of pictures from our trip. We at Suncrest United Methodist Church, also on our Facebook page, have a lot of pictures from our trip and things about what we're doing. But if you want to know more about the Bateys, the least of these ministries has an ongoing relationship, and ministries is who we work with when we're ready to take a work team there. And I know we will do it again.
Let's put a link on our webpage.
We can do that. Yeah, we can do that. I'll get that done.
I'm glad you had a good time.
Had a great time.
Fruitful time, maybe.
Yes, very fruitful time. And I even believe in hindsight that it was a good time for me, even though it was a busy time to come back to. It was a good time for me to take a break.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad you're back.
Me too.
Well, I got to the end of my page.
All right.
Thank you for sharing with me.
Well, it was my honor. Thank you for wanting to allow me to share the story in this way. So it was a great mission trip. If you ever get the chance to do a mission trip, I encourage you to do it. There's always going to be something, I believe, that you can do regardless of your skill set.
I would double that. Absolutely. Just take the step and go.
Yeah. So, Mark, until next time, this has been the Rev Rambles On, and I've really done a lot of rambling today. So, Angela will get us later.
Yeah. See you in church.
See you in church.